These cards are two of the cards in the set that I have created. They are APBA compatible, but they're unlike anything APBA has ever produced. On the left you see a card from the 1966 season for Sadahara O, arguably, well, maybe his second, third best year in his long 21-year or 22-year career. On the right is the president of the NPB, Japanese Baseball, a man who may be coming to the major leagues very, very soon in a matter of weeks. His namesake is Suzuki. He has been courted by, I don't know, 6, 8, 10 different major league ball clubs. He's an amazing talent. These two men are both included in the set that I have created, the APBA compatible set. The PDF is available from me at berglund.kurt@yahoo.com, and I'm putting all of this information in the description for the video. $13 to my PayPal account, and I reply not only with a PDF of all the cards in the set, more than 220 of them, but also information sheets about the players and their careers. Information sheets that I will show you right now. This is an example of the information sheets that I have created with the APBA compatible cards. You get the pitchers' names, the team and the season that the card is based upon. Remember, these are not their peak years, but this is a prime season, so typically I chose their third best season in their career. I give you the stats that the card was based on and some notes. These are usually awards that the player has won. So for example, down here, Takeshi Doigaki from 1946 with Osaka. In his career, he won 6 best nines, and there is at least an argument to be made that he was the 5th best catcher all time in Japan, although now he's probably been passed up by some other folks. You get in this set an information sheet like this about all of the players, all more than 220 players in the set. So you get some background information on them, and I think that's important as we start to learn about the amazing history of Japanese baseball. So let's talk about that in a little more detail, what that would look like, and some more tools to provide you to learn more about the history of Japanese baseball. I'm calling this video Japanese Baseball 101. I'm going to be referring to the NPB, Nippon Professional Baseball League. As I speak, I'm using those terms interchangeably. The league has only existed for about the last 70 years or so. Before that, it was sort of a hodgepodge of unaffiliated teams and a loose schedule, and the chaos, frankly, that was pre-war, during the war, and post-World War II Japan. Lots more about that coming, but I want to say a few things in this first video about that I'm titling Japanese Baseball 101. I want to show you those cards. I want to show you that card set. I learn a lot by playing baseball sims. I learn about the players, I learn about the league, I learn about the times. And this set of cards is no exception. I think with this APBA compatible set, you will find that there's a lot of information that you can learn about the league and the biggest, the most important players, as well as the foreign stars that made their way to play in the NPB over these last several decades. But why Japanese baseball? What is the appeal? Why am I so passionate about it? Well, part of it is the uncertainty of the upcoming the current labor talks in the major leagues and the uncertainty of the upcoming season, but it's much more than that, because I think what's happened is that in many important ways the NPB has passed the MLB in terms of the quality of the game, and in many ways the stars of the NPB have become the equal, or maybe in some cases better than, many of the stars in the major leagues. Japanese baseball is peaking. It is peaking as an instructional factory for baseball. It's peaking in terms of international play, but it's also peaking in terms of the quality of players that are coming to the major leagues. And that's telling me one thing, that play in the NPB is very rapidly catching up to play in the major leagues. Beyond that, I think if you took a look at the play in the NPB, what you would find is a much more appealing game than the locked-in 3 true outcomes story that has become Major League Baseball in the United States. The 3 true outcomes are less prevalent in the NPB. I won't say that they're not prevalent, but they're less prevalent. Japanese pitching is more interesting. It is not simply a case of who throws the highest on the radar gun, but Japanese pitchers typically have 4, 5, 6, 7, even 11, 12 different pitches that they use on a regular basis. You don't find that in the major leagues. The key to Japanese pitching, the key to pitching in the NPB is not just velocity, but its location and its changing speeds. So you'll find curveballs, splitters, screwballs, sinkers, sliders, as well as 2- and 4-seam fastballs, and of course changeups. Japanese hitters are trained to use the entire field and to make adjustments during the course of the game to the pitching that they see. We see less and less of that in the major leagues. Strategy in Japan is very different than strategy in the major leagues. The offensive strategies try and force the defense to make plays on the players as they're running bases, putting bunts into play, sending runners with more frequency than we see in the major leagues, and so on. Japanese stadiums are unique places. They have different characteristics, and the fans are very, very passionate, much more so than you would find in the United States. As far as the league itself, there are 2 6-team leagues, or if you want to think of them that way, of divisions. So there are 12 teams in the NPB. They have varying financial structures, different strengths. The organizations are very different as well. They are comprised of 70 ball players in the entire organization. The draft is very important. Signing the right foreign players is a very important thing. And of course, free agency is important as well. Now, there are some excellent writers who have written about, in English, about Japanese baseball. Some of them include Rob Fitz, who's written about maybe a couple, well, actually several books that you may have heard of. One about Wally Yanamin, who was a Hawaiian breaking into Japanese baseball in the 1950s, and what he went through. Another one is Banzai Babe Ruth that I've enjoyed very much. Banzai Babe Ruth is the story of a group of major league players who went to play some all-star games in Japan in the 30s, and the popularity of Babe Ruth during those tours. Rob Whiting has written a few different books on Japanese baseball. So has Jim Allen and John Holway, who you may remember as a writer about the Negro Leagues in the United States. has also written about the baseball in Japan as well. So in the description for this video, I'm giving you all of their information. Their names are written in the description for the video. And there are some important websites. There's a website for the NPB that is in English that I have linked in the description for the video. There's also a link to the Japanese Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum, which is, the words are written in Japanese, but there's some really interesting visuals for that as well. There are some other websites that are important as well if you're interested in the history of Japanese baseball and really understanding what the game is like today. BaseballGuru.com has an entire section called the Japanese Insider. Most of that is written by a man named Jim Albright. And he has written extensively on the great players and the teams, the stadiums. There's an awful lot of information there. Now, his contribution to the Baseball Guru website has not been updated in about 15 years or so. So the player information looks a little dated, but it's very important because he's talking about the history of the game in Japan and who the big names are that you really need to know and what they did, what they have done that's been so important in the context of their league. John B. Holway is also a writer on the Japanese Insider link, so if you go to baseballguru.com, you click on the Japanese Insider, there's just a wealth of information there for you. There's also a site called japanball.com that is a very current resource and contains a lot of information for you as well, including Skype chats, I believe they're on Skype, that you can watch of past and present players, managers, writers about the game, and learn a lot about the game that way. YouTube has a wealth of information. There are 3 particular channels that I think everyone ought to subscribe to who is interested in baseball in Japan. The first one is Yakyu Cosmopolitan. I think I've learned the most from his channel, both in terms of the present of the NPB, but also in terms of the history of the NPB. His stuff is great. It's thought-provoking. I would recommend a subscription to him. There's another writer, Baseball International, on YouTube. Baseball International is another channel. It's not exclusively about the NPB, but it does contain good NPB content, particularly of the present times. And Gaijin Baseball is a third channel. All of these are in the video description for this video that you can check out and subscribe to them. But Yakyu Cosmopolitan is fantastic, and I think I learned something from every one of his videos, and I strongly recommend a subscription to his channel. There is also in the description for this video a list of excellent Twitter links and podcasts that are in the description for the video. All of those contain information that has helped me and I think might help you as well. All of this has inspired me to write a book this year, and I'm going to be giving updates on my YouTube channel every so often to talk about the development of the book and what's being included. But it's going to be a monster. It's going to be a big one because there's an awful lot of the story of baseball in Japan that needs to be told. The great teams, the players, the seasons, the championships, the record holders, the current state of baseball in Japan, all of that and lots more needs to be told, and it needs to be told in English. So I'm writing a book to bring that to you as well. And I'm taking the proceeds from the sales of these card sets that I'm selling and using that to purchase different pieces for the book. Some of them are visuals, some of them are other elements for the book, the help and the expertise of other writers about the NPB as well. So there's a lot going on And I think that this is a fantastic time to be getting interested in the NPB and the history of baseball in Japan, because it's never been stronger, it's never been more interesting, and especially at this time when baseball seems to be on such, dare I say, unsure footing in the United States. The hottest, the best baseball, I think, is being played in Japan. And I hope you'll join me in learning about this wonderful product that they have created and that is evolving into a better and better product every season. Thank you for being with me. Please don't forget to click like and subscribe to my channel, and please check out all of the information in the description for this video. There's an awful lot there. If you're interested in picking up the set of APA compatible cards, my PayPal account is berglund.kurt@yahoo.com. That's in the description for the video as well. $13 gets you more than 220 players from the past and present of the NPB, along with the information sheets about them. Thanks for being with me. Have a wonderful day. So long, everybody.